You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm going to open the floor for this segment. All right? I'm going to open the floor. I know this isn't live, but I want you to comment right now. Who on Syracuse basketball is a good defender? Who on Syracuse is a good defender? Because I don't know. I don't know. And I don't have the answer. I want to be clear with you all in that I don't think it's a lack of effort per se. I think they are trying. And that is the bare minimum, but I think that is something that we do need to establish because sometimes you can tell when players are not giving it their 100%. They are giving it their 100%. And I think that's a huge issue that this is their 100% on defense. Or at least that's what I think so. They're trying. They just might not be very good. And we thought going into the season that defense could be a problem. Certainly looks that way. If you're trying to draw comparables to football and basketball, I mean, they're kind of identical. Syracuse's offense, I mean, it wasn't particularly good in this one, but even in kind of a poor effort on offense, they still managed to put up 74 points. We talked about how last game against Lemoyne, they put up well over 80 and they didn't shoot the ball particularly well. So I think their offense is going to be fine. Just like Syracuse football, their offense is fine, aside from the Pitt game. But their offense is generally going to be okay. They're going to score points. They're going to give you a chance to win. But unlike in football, you play one side of the field unless you're Travis Hunter. In basketball, you got to play both sides. You got to play both sides of the floor. And I don't know who on Syracuse you can trust on the defensive end. I really don't. And that's why I'm opening the floor. Please comment in the comment section below. Who's a good defender on Syracuse basketball? Because I'm out of answers. And we're 2 games into the season. I think one particular problem in this game is that they weren't getting back on defense. They just weren't getting back at times. I read you guys the stat. in the last segment that Colgate had 22 fast break points. They were pushing the tempo, and Syracuse could not compete with that. They could not compete with that. There was one play that I highlighted late in this game. I want to find it. I got it. So Elijah Moore, it was at the under 8-minute mark. Okay, so under 8 minutes left in the second half of this game. Elijah Moore, who I thought showed some good promise in this one. Elijah Moore, what did he do? Elijah Moore totals in this game, the true freshman, 8 points, 4 of 10 from the field, 0 for 3 from three-point, but played 20 minutes. He was pretty good. He's pretty good. His shot will eventually fall, but he's more athletic than I thought. But regardless, Elijah Moore misses a baseline jumper. And it was a kind of a big rebound. And nobody gets back. And Colgate pulls within 2, 66-64. At one point, Syracuse, I believe, led by 13 in this game. And that was the bucket that led Colgate to pulling within 2 of this game. That is just one example of how Syracuse did not get back on defense. There were plenty of others if we want to go back and rewatch this whole game together. The blow-bys also were an issue for Syracuse basketball. They were a problem against Lemoyne, and they were once again a problem. Jalen Cox, once again, might as well have been Derrick Rose in this one. I mean, my goodness. I mean, he's a good player, but let's talk about Jalen Cox for Colgate. I don't want to minimize him, but I'm looking at his numbers right now, okay? I'm pulling it up. He's averaging 10 points so far this season. Last year, he averaged 5 points. He's a pretty good shooter as well. He's not a bad player by any means, but they made him look a whole lot better than he actually is. They mentioned on the broadcast that he's a track star, and you could tell because they could not stay in front of him. Take your pick once again at the guard spot. J.J. Starling, who fouled out at the end of this game, could not stay in front of him. Jaquan Carlos could not stay in front of him. When you're not getting back on defense and you're getting blown by, well, then how did you end up winning? I'll tell you how they ended up winning. Colgate was missing. Sometimes it's a make or miss sport. Basketball is pretty simple sometimes. Did you make the shot or did you miss the shot? It doesn't matter how good of a look they get. If they miss, they miss. But what's important on defense is that the process is good. There was a moment, I believe, in the first half of this game. Maybe it was early in the second half, but I believe it was in the first half of this game. I remember it very vividly. I don't remember the score. But Syracuse was off to a good start in this one, and they were kind of starting to go on a run late in the first half, They had a great defensive possession, and a guy on Colgate hits a corner three late in the shot clock with Jyare Davis right in his face. It was a great contest. I thought he was pretty much as on time as you're going to get. He didn't foul the three-point shooter, and the guy just made it. And you know what you got to do in that situation? You just tip your cap and say, you know what? He made a contested three at the end of a shot clock. What are you going to do? I can live with that. I can live with that. What I can't live with is getting blown by on defense, not getting back on defense. Sure, it's great when Colgate decides they want to miss 1,000 layups, but I promise you, and we're going to get to the upcoming schedule for Syracuse basketball because they're going to play Texas pretty soon, a ranked Texas team. When you play that team, they're not going to miss their layups as much. They're not. Colgate shot 44% in this game. That's not even overwhelming. They were 10 of 27 from three. This is what I mean when Syracuse got really, really lucky. Imagine if Colgate was somewhat hot in this one. They weren't really hot. They had moments where they got hot. They had moments where they had a big scoring spurt, but they never really could put it all together, even when they were getting their looks. I apologize that this is the maddest I have ever been in a Syracuse win. I really am. And I don't think it's a lack of effort. I really don't. I think the players try. I do. But that was not a good performance. And they were lucky to win. They really were. So we talked about how Syracuse got lucky. The defense, not very good